Most people think they understand how personal injury cases work. They don't. After handling only personal injury cases for over 15 years, I can tell you this. The things people say most confidently about accident claims are usually the most wrong. I hear the same myths over and over, at accident scenes, on the phone, and even from people who think they already know how this works. And believing the wrong one can quietly destroy your case before it even starts. In this video, I'm breaking down 5 of the most common myths about personal injury cases, why people believe them, where they come from, and what actually happens in the real world when these cases are handled correctly. So let's start with myth number 1. This is an assumption that a lot of people automatically jump to, and that is, if I was partially at fault for causing the accident, I can't recover anything. You might think that if you were speeding slightly or didn't signal, your case is dead in the water. That may seem logical enough, but it simply isn't true. Florida operates under a system called modified comparative negligence, and what that means is that you absolutely can be partially to blame for causing a crash and still recover as long as you're not more than 50% to blame for the crash. Now, your compensation will be reduced by your percentage of fault, so if you're 20% at fault, you get 20% less money, but you aren't barred from a claim unless you're the primary cause of the accident. Myth number 2 is a big one, and I'd have to say that probably 9 out of 10 people that I talk to believe it, and that's the belief that the at-fault driver's insurance will pay all of my medical bills. Logically, you'd think that the person who hit you pays the bills, right? But Florida is a no-fault state. That means that your own car insurance pays the first $10,000 of your medical bills through your personal injury protection or PIP coverage, regardless of who caused the crash. Now, it's important to know that in every case, there is no guarantee that the at-fault driver's insurance will ever pay anything towards your medical bills, because they get a chance to fight it and make you prove your case, which means not only proving that their driver was at fault, but also proving that the injuries that you are claiming you suffered are in fact caused by the accident and not by something else, like some other accident or simply age. If you can successfully do this, the at-fault driver's insurance will pay, but it won't write a single check until the very end of the case when you reach a final settlement. So if you're waiting on them to pay your doctor next week, you're going to be waiting a long time. Myth number 3 prevents a lot of people from ever calling a lawyer or even reporting a claim, and that is, I only have minor injuries, so I don't have a claim. Believe it or not, you don't have to have broken bones or a severe head injury to have an insurance claim. The reality is that oftentimes the most painful and permanent conditions are the ones that you can't see on an X-ray. We call these soft tissue injuries, things like herniated discs, whiplash, or nerve damage. Also, remember that adrenaline is high right after a crash. You might feel fine at the scene, but wake up in pain 2 days later. Just because your pain may seem minor or nagging doesn't mean that there isn't something more going on that you should get checked out, and it certainly doesn't mean that you don't have a case. Myth number 4 is a common fear that a lot of people have, and that is the belief that hiring a lawyer means a long, ugly court battle. You've probably seen the TV shows where every lawyer is screaming in a courtroom. The reality is quite different. The vast majority of personal injury cases in Florida, and I'm talking well over 90% of the cases, settle out of court. Although we prepare every file as if it's going to trial because that leverage helps us get a better offer, it's actually very rare that a client ever has to testify in front of a jury. And finally, myth number 5, the insurance company will treat me fairly if I'm honest. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong with adjusters doing their job, but you have to understand they work for a for-profit corporation. Their goal is to pay you as little as possible and to protect their company's bottom line. They are trained negotiators, so even if you're the Pope, the adjuster is still going to try to save money on your claim. The key is to always remember that the success of an insurance company is only measured by the amount paid out in claims. The smaller the amount, the more successful the company is. Unfortunately, your level of honesty doesn't matter. So now that I've showed you why many of the beliefs that maybe you once had about accident claims are nothing but a myth, you need to know how to put yourself in the best position for recovery after an accident. So watch this video next, and I'll teach you exactly what you need to do right after a crash to set yourself up for success.